The years that I've had the most beautiful graph were the years that I performed the best for sure. Like the prettier the graph, the better the performance. It wasn't something that I went into business and said, "Oh, here's my flag. Like here, I'm a coach now." It was because people had followed along with my story from holding paddle backwards, not finishing race to, taking my science background and putting that 100% into testing and trying again and failing and testing and trying again and failing over the course of a decade to literally go from couch potato to world champion. And the messages started coming in. Hey, would you mind coaching me? Hey, how are you doing this?
Welcome to the TrainingPeaks Coachcast. I'm your host, Dirk Friel. In each episode, we'll sit down with industry experts to discuss coaching methodologies, the latest research, and leading tools for endurance training. Visit trainingpeaks.com for more training and coaching resources. My guest today is April Zilg, who is a 3-time stand-up paddleboard world champion and gold medalist in the Pan American Surfing Games. She is a certified instructor through both the American Canoe Association and World Paddle Association. She now shares all of her paddling knowledge by coaching several types of paddle sports. Today, we had a great chat about how to train for stand-up paddleboarding, canoeing, and how technology, including the advent of power meters for rowing, will dramatically change training and racing. I hope you enjoy today's episode. All right, April, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm excited to have you on.
I am so excited. Thank you for having me, Dirk. It is almost a dream come true to be on the Training Peaks podcast.
Oh, my Lord. Well, I first heard about you because you attended a Training Peaks University here in Boulder, and you're not from Boulder, anywhere near here. So one, that was cool. Thank you so much for attending Training Peaks University. And secondly, I'm always have my eyes open for, and I look out for new sport types, if you will. And, Training Peaks is seeing all kinds of endurance sports leverage our platform. And when I heard about your story, I was like, oh, I'd love to meet April, get her on. So here we are, actually just like a month after Training Peaks University. So yeah, thanks so much. I hope you had a good time at TPU.
Dude, I loved it. I've been wanting to attend a Training Peaks University session for years, but because of a very busy competition calendar, it just didn't sync up with my annual plan. And I took a little bit of time off last year to have my son, and I'm now getting back into the groove and getting back into training. And I saw the email pop up that they were having it. I was like, man, if I don't do it now, by the time I get back into the full swing of things, competing again, I will have missed the opportunity. So I jumped on it, and I am so thrilled I made it.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I'd love to dig into your background. Obviously we're talking all things paddle sports today.
Yeah.
How did you get into competitive stand-up paddleboarding?
Well, it's a long but short story. I'll make it short for the podcast version. I was unmotivated, couch potato. If beer drinking was going to be an Olympic sport, you could have signed me up. But I was in no way an athlete, especially like middle school, high school. Just never made any team. I tried out for a few things like cross country, and it just wasn't in the cards for me. I was always did not make the team list. And I just kind of had given any sort of athlete. I was not an athlete. And I had a health scare. And after that, I decided that I needed to get my stuff together. And I tried running. It's still not my favorite thing. I know I need to do it because increased aerobic enzymes in my legs would actually make me a better paddler. But I just can't bring myself to be a true runner. But I found paddling. I tried big, heavy plastic kayaks. Those weren't for me either. Tried stand-up paddling, and it was just love at first attempt. And kind of the rest is almost history. I entered my first race, held my paddle backwards, had no idea what I was doing. Entered the 6-mile race. There's a 3, a 6, and a 12-mile race at the Carolina Cup, and I entered a 6-mile race, and I did not finish because again, I had no idea what I was doing. And it was the first thing that I had ever liked athletically. And so instead of giving up, I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to give this a shot. So I took some lessons and I got real equipment because you probably know, especially in the cycling world,
Yeah.
equipment does play a decent bit of a part in speeds and comfort and all of that stuff. So I got a nice board, took some nice lessons, and I entered the same 6 mile race the following year and got second place instead of not finishing. And after that, I quit my job. I started working in a paddleboard shop. Um,
Huh.
and I just dedicated my entire life to paddling and being healthier and becoming an athlete.
How long ago was that? Did you start all this?
Oh goodness, that was in 2011.
Yeah. So you mentioned a 6 mile race, but there's got to be other distances. You mentioned a 3 mile race.
Yeah,
Is that, when we talk about competitive stand-up paddleboarding, like how many different disciplines are there, distances? Are there sprints,
yes,
ultra? Like kind of lay that out for us.
all of the above. So the International Surfing Association hosts an annual World Championships, and their sprint distance for that event is it's been 200 meters in the past, 100 meters out through the surf, around a
Yeah.
buoy, and then like back into shore. In the most recent years, they've shortened that to like a true sprint, only about 100 meters. And I haven't competed since they've done 100 meters, but I'm very excited to, because that's going to be my jam. I'm a fast twitch athlete. I like look at weights,
Okay.
I gain muscle. I look at food, I gain weight.
So what did you get world championship medals in?
Sprint.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so I love sprinting. I wish I was an endurance athlete. I train for endurance races, and I feel like in this sport they carry more clout, if you will. And so I want to be a distance racer, and I use it, and I train for a lot of distance races. But my genetic makeup and my natural tendency is very explosive. So there's 100-meter sprints, and then obviously, you have your tech race at the International Canoe Federation. There's some politics there, by the way, Canoe Federation versus Surfing Association, and who governs paddling and who has the right to hold the World Championship event. And they've gone to like the Court of Arbitration of Sport and like duked it out over it. But that's a topic for another day. But so tech racing is anywhere from 1,000 meters to 3 miles, and that's typically either in and out of the surf zone, showing your ability to punch out through breaking waves and your ability to balance and navigate ocean swells, turn around, and be able to surf those back in, pick your best line. Again, like it's like combining surfing with racing. And then the Canoe Federation typically just sets up a buoy course, no surf, no waves. It's flat water, but a lot of pivot turns, really tight action, and a lot of fun. Rubbings racing in those events. So a lot of contact, a lot of.
Is that on a canoe or a board?
Those are on stand-up paddleboards.
Okay.
So everything I'm talking about right now is still stand-up paddling. Stand-up paddling, you can be sprint. You can emphasize sprint, you can emphasize technical racing, or you can emphasize longer distance paddling. And the World Championship events are typically anywhere from 6 to 10 miles for those races. But you absolutely have independent races that are 32 miles, like Chattajack, Molokai. Some of the big races are 30 plus miles. And then, of course, we have I call them your gimmick races, but they're so much fun. Like the last paddler standing, it's like a 1 mile course every hour or something on the hour for who can go the longest. And then there's the Alabama 650, which is 650 miles.
Oh my Lord.
And it's hot,
really?
And it takes people like 10 days to do it. And then there's the Yukon. You think that's long. Then there's the Yukon 1000, which is 1,000 miles, but you're with the current, so it's not as bad. So yes, to answer your question very long-windedly, everything from 100 meters to 1,000 miles you can find in paddling.
Are you seeing growth on lakes, or I mean, I would, so that competitions are coming inland?
I would definitely say so. I think with a lot of things, you see the birth of a sport somewhere really cool and hip, like Hawaii and
Yeah.
California, and then
Triathlon, Hawaii. Yeah.
it trickles inland. So I'm definitely seeing a lot of growth inland now for stand-up paddle. In the last couple of years, I've seen the interest in stand-up paddle start to shift though to more outrigger canoe, as a lot of people are looking, I think, for like community and connection.
Mm.
And so in outrigger canoe, you can paddle a single person craft, but a lot of times you're part of an OC6 team. And so it's you and five other people getting in the boat and training and going somewhere as well. So we, just as a slight background, I've wanted to check that box as well in my paddling career and paddle with five other amazing women. And we went to the World Championships in Samoa in 2023 and won the
Wow.
V6 Open Women's World Championship.
Cool.
So that's 10
Wow.
miles, open ocean, lots of conditions. Um, and technique and having to blend with those people is huge. But I think people are just they want that connection with other people. And
Yeah.
dragon boating when I was at
Oh,
TPU
yeah.
is a whole other, I guess, it's a big aspect of paddle sports. I don't dragon boat. A lot of my
So explain dragon boat.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. They do a lot of time trials, and I swear every time I get a dragon boater as a client and I get them into TrainingPeaks, they're just like, oh my, yeah, maybe I am overtraining. Because it's like time trial after time trial after time trial to get their seat in the
Wow.
boat. And there's a lot going on in
Yeah.
that discipline. And then I don't even know how many people are in the boat, but it's a lot. Um,
Wow.
so I don't know how TrainingPeaks would ever account for dragon boating, but
We'll
yeah,
get there.
but a lot of dragon boaters use stand up and or outrigger canoe as their cross training modality because they have to
Right.
build volume, right? Like on the water,
Right.
how you can't always get your 20 best friends together for a quick paddle.
By the way, I did see in beta, we have stand-up paddleboard now,
Yes.
canoe. So paddle sports are either active now as you listen to this, or they're coming soon. So definitely, that's exciting that we're supporting those new sports, and as well as others. So talk to me about, did you ever have a coach through your career, or how prevalent is coaching within this, a paddleboarding community?
I think at the top levels, it's extremely prevalent. It was more important to me to find a technique coach. Um,
Mm.
so I found Johnny Puakea, Danny Ching, some of the best paddlers in the history of paddling, arguably, to help me with technique and kind of give me some guidance. But honestly, I had already found TrainingPeaks,
Mm.
and they would give me a couple of workouts or send me a training plan, but then I would put the training plan into TrainingPeaks and
Mm.
further like use the annual training plan builder to adjust the weekly loads to ensure that I was getting the right recovery weeks. I paired it with, forget what book it was. It talked about like having a 2 or 3 peak week. It might have been Vladimir Sturin's block periodization, but he talks
Huh.
about training load throughout the week. And so I got down to the point where I was adjusting my daily TSS for the workouts based on his graphs in his book. And so like certain times a year, I was having like call it like a 3 peak week, maybe in your base season, where I was like, okay, I had
Yeah.
3 challenging days, but then as you shifted into the build phase, I might have had a 2 peak week where those workouts were more intense than those in the 3 peak week. Um, so you just had two bigger spikes. So I would, pair those or, spread those out the same way he did in the book. So like I was always cross
Wow.
referencing everything from like book um, into TrainingPeaks and taking you
Yeah.
know, like again, what they had given me, they're coaches, they've been paddling forever. They have really great training plans and amazing workouts that honed in on skills that I needed to develop. But on like the nerd side of things, neither one of them went to school like as a physics major, I guess. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna nerd out. You give me what you have as world's most
Right.
amazing paddler, and then I'm gonna add my nerd flair with TrainingPeaks, and hopefully things pan out.
Well, so you mentioned TSS. What are you basing that off of?
Well,
Like what
just
metric?
it,
Heart rate or
yeah.
RPE
So
or?
because up until now, paddling has not been a sport type in Training
Yep.
Peaks, I've always used the heart rate TSS. And even that,
Yep.
you have to take it with a grain of salt, especially for me as a multi sport athlete, switching back and forth between stand up paddling and outrigger canoe. Um, Stand up paddling is an incredibly high resistance sport. Like you take a
Like full
paddle,
body.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, A,
Full
you're just
body.
standing, it's body weight supported. B, there's
Yep.
no
Yep.
glide on the craft. Like you take a stroke,
Right.
the second that blade's out of the water, you're just slowing down. So it's a completely different stroke, and it's a lot more intense to hold your speed versus an outrigger canoe
Huh.
where you can kind of let the boat glide in between strokes, so you can really work on efficiency and timing and be a little bit longer in the water, quick in the air, and get the blade back in. And you start to really see your speeds come up with less effort sometimes. Whereas stand up is just muscle, head down, man, muscle. Um,
Yeah.
and so even though I could get the same TSS for two workouts, one being outrigger and one being stand up, I know that the stand up workout is carrying a higher stress value on my body. And I learned
Uh-huh.
that the hard way, definitely through the years using Training Peaks since I think about 2015 or 2016. I was
Okay.
following the blog and some of the recommendations for running and biking ramp rate and TSS. And after 1 year, I realized I could not do that anymore. Um, I had become pretty badly overtrained because I was trying to match ramp rate for sports who I realized like if I had logged my same activity as a cycling event or a running event, it would give me a vastly higher TSS. Um,
Got it.
and as a
Yeah.
coach now, I'm able to kind of bring that little gem of knowledge over into
Yeah.
that other sport type. But I think,
So yes, yeah. Sorry. So you're doing heart rate based TSS, stand up paddleboarding, and canoeing,
Mhm.
but then you kind of fudge it a bit. You, with your experience, you're going in and saying, this stand up paddleboard is actually harder than
Yes.
what the calculated HRTSS was.
Mhm.
So you add 15 more points or something for
Yeah.
that effort, right?
I didn't go in, I've never gone in and added to the TSS. I'm
Okay.
just assuming like that the CTL, is not going
Yep.
to be as high.
Got it. Got it.
And the same, like the ramp rate, if
Cool.
it's suggesting that you could do like an 8 in a week, paddlers were good with like a 3 or a 4. But I think
Yeah.
once paddling is a sport type and there starts to be like more data, kind of in that pool, if you will, that data pool, TSS might be more accurate, but even then it's unique because how many paddlers are in tide and wind or current and wind? Water
Yeah.
is, I mean, I know cyclists and runners have wind, but not a lot of times does the road, start moving the opposite direction you
Yeah.
are, right? Like that's equivalent
Right.
to current. And so there's a lot of variables in water sports that aren't in running and cycling. So I do understand the difficulty for Training Peaks to be able to accurately assess a TSS for a workout.
Well, I think what I like thinking about it in terms of like TSS per day, it's not really the daily session, but how does it relate over time?
Yeah.
So if you look at the last 6 weeks, et cetera, what does that trend line look like?
Mm-hmm.
On that chronic training load, that fitness level, or the fatigue level. Is the fatigue increasing too much right now? So do you rely on the performance management chart to kind of refer back and kind of get a sense of how the periodization has gone along?
Yes. The years that I've had the most like beautiful graph were the years that I performed the best for sure. Like the prettier the
Wow.
graph, the better the
That's
performance,
cool.
especially when you see like a 3 or 4 week
Build.
mesocycle followed by a
Yeah.
little, you take your rest and then it's like these little heave dips, heave dips, heave dips, right? You're
Yeah.
building, resting. When my graphs are just textbook, I'm crushing it. And, if I'm a little lax and my graphs are not nice, then I fall a little short. And I'm like, I should definitely have nicer graphs. That would be the secret. Um, Even then, though, when you get to the build phase, a lot of times because of the TSS not weighting as high, I think for how intense sometimes the power workouts can be. When you get to the build phase, it plateaus out a little. It's not
Mm.
the
Yeah.
amount of
It's not
volume.
measuring the intensity very accurately.
Yes.
The heart rate is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So are there more devices? I mean, are there power meters
they're
for
coming.
oars?
Yeah. There's one out of New Zealand I've been trying to get a hold of for years. And it's got like a string tension gauge in the shaft that measures
Wow.
flex. And
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
that one would be very nice to try, but it's like $1,000. Um,
Yeah.
and right now I live on a lake, so I can train by pace. So
Okay.
personally, I'm not currently battling wind and tide, so I'm able to have my output just pace
Hit
based,
your mark.
which is
Yeah.
lovely. It's opened up an entire, like a whole new aspect to my training and my evolution as a paddler. But for my clients who are in coastal environments with wind and tide, a power meter would be an absolute game changer. And I bought a one that I glued to my paddle. It's a new power meter on the market, and
Wow.
it's not working. And so I'm
Oh,
actually in.
did it ever work?
I oh, some of my competitors are using it and they're promoting it on social media. So I did buy one and it doesn't work. But I think they're
Oh,
going to send me a new one because there might be something wrong with the unit.
oh, that'd be exciting.
So yeah, I'm very excited about it if I could get it to work. So
Yeah.
because
And if we can get it in the .fit file into the Garmin and to TrainingPeaks, that'd be so cool to check out the data.
oh my goodness, and again, I could just open up an entire just new aspect of my coaching as well to help
Yeah,
others, right? Like training, for me,
absolutely.
training by pace is superior, but again, people are like in the wind and the current. They're like, oh, I don't know how fast
Right.
I am. Like if I can just have them do set power repeats at a certain wattage for
Yeah.
their 2 minute pieces, right? Like that's going to be where it's at.
It's going to be just like cycling, year 2000 all over again. I mean, once you get power data, as my dad always said, you start seeing the world three-dimensionally. And before power, it was just a two-dimensional
Yeah.
sport, and you had speed and heart rate, but okay, but what about the depth to it? What about the torque behind it, the force, we had cadence, back then before power, but once you can compare cadence versus torque, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, are you, which one are you losing out on come 3 hours into the event? Is it cadence or torque? And those peaks, like the pacing, you start to see the peaks or they're pacing wrong. You can just like see it in the data, but you can't see that in heart rate data or speed data.
Mm-mm. I mean, I can see
So
it a
it's,
little
yeah.
bit sometimes because a lot of paddlers who are, I guess, also newer to training data, I give somebody new a
Oh,
two
right.
minute piece and just you can see the speed. It's like really fast and
Yeah.
crash every
Right.
two
Right.
minute piece. I'm like, whoa, we're going to work on pacing. But I couldn't agree more. I think once we have power data, like things are going to be so different. And I'm like, I'm chomping at the bit to download the WKO, like the more in
Yeah.
depth. Oh my goodness, I want to nerd out on that like for weeks. Like somebody take my kid. Mom needs a
Yeah.
vacation
Go on
because
vacation. Yeah.
I just need WKO and all of my paddle power data once I can get this power meter working.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely a huge goal of mine to a acquire paddle power data of my own, even in
Yeah.
route. And I think right now I'm training for a big race in May 2026. So I had purchased the power meter May 2025. I wanted a year of power data while training for a big 32-mile race so that I had, this, I guess, just a
Yeah.
baseline to work off of. But
Right. Right.
as this is being recorded, I do not have power data yet. And I'm just,
Well, that's coming. That's really cool. That's really exciting. Yeah, it's awesome when a sport can see a revolution, and not a whole lot of people see it coming. And so you're on the leading edge of, it's coming. You're excited, so that's exciting to see that what the future brings. So, how about over to the coaching side of things? When did you start coaching? Why did you start coaching?
goodness. God, that's a harder answer than the why did you start paddling? Um, I didn't want to be a coach. Originally. It wasn't something, I guess I had an idea of what an athlete was. I thought, oh, if I win this and this and I get sponsors and that'll be what pays for it, right? And then I kind of realized, I think the way, I don't know if it's brands or it is perceived, I don't know, like the desire for like female athletes to be also content creators, like in the age of
Yeah,
social
right.
media, it's not even just female athletes, male athletes as well. To be an athlete, you're like all of a sudden now you have to be this content creator, which I guess is potentially what athletes always were. But as a nerd, like as a nerd person
Yeah,
who likes computers and books and writing and analyzing data, posting my booty on social media was not really how I wanted to athlete.
yeah.
And so coaching slowly became that viable option. Like, well, how do I get to paddle
It was your
every
outlet.
day?
Yeah,
Yeah, for the rest of my life. That's what I want to be doing with my time. I left my career
yeah,
as, a deep sea coral reef ecologist to be a paddler. Um,
yeah,
how do I actually make this work? And it ended up being the coaching. And it wasn't something that I went into business and said, "Oh, here's my flag. Like here, I'm a coach now." It was because people had followed along with my story from holding paddle backwards, not finishing race to, taking my science background and putting that 100% into testing and trying again and failing and testing and trying again and failing over the course of a decade to literally go from couch potato to world champion. And
yeah,
the messages started coming in. Hey, would you mind coaching me? Hey, how are you doing this? And I was like, well, just go sign up for TrainingPeaks. It
yeah.
does it all for
That's
you.
awesome.
And I realized not everybody has the time to even set up their own TrainingPeaks sometimes, right? So
Yeah,
there's certain people, there's a market just to say, hey, I'm a paddler. I want to go. I'm part of the Great Britain national SUP team. I've been selected to go to the World Championships. I have a job and I'm busy. You do it for me. And
yeah,
yeah, so like I can do that, but I also have online communities where I teach people how to do it themselves as well for
huh,
like people who can't afford a coach but have time, especially like college students. Um, like if you don't have the money to hire a coach to do it all for you, I'm happy to share everything that I've done and all the tools that I have, essentially using AI now to be a
yeah,
better athlete. Um, so yeah, I have methods to share that as well. So
yeah. No, I mean, there's so much value in a coach, and it can save you so much time,
yeah,
right? If you have a goal in mind, how the heck do I go about finishing a 6 mile race? I know April didn't even finish her first 6 mile
hmm,
race. So I don't want that to occur to me. I mean, you can give me 20 different tips that would help me go an hour faster, probably,
yeah,
right? So that there's so much value in there. And then the accountability, like having that accountability. And there's like the fuzzy feeling of somebody on the other end,
yeah,
reviewing your data and getting back to you with that thumbs up or, hey, you went out too fast today. Um, so once you experience that, it means a whole lot, and you're really important in a lot of people's lives. So it's a special connection for sure. Tell me more about, I guess, like what type of athletes come to you, what are their goals, and your services that you offer.
yeah. in the last 2 years, I've gotten a lot of dragon boat paddlers. Speaking of those
Ah,
they're dragon
yeah.
boaters. And a lot of them, they're just trying to make the like a boat for the world championships. Um, and for a lot of them, it's definitely the custom coaching, that like you said, that warm fuzzy
One-on-one
feeling.
premium.
I need to look at
Yeah.
their data because oftentimes they are going out too hard. And so we're working together and working on pacing. Um, yeah, so one-on-one coaching, I have like the red carpet one-on-one. So after I've been working with an athlete for a few months, or if I have an athlete that I know and they have a big goal, say like a world championship event or a Molokai crossing, it's just more one-on-one time, weekly
Right.
check-ins. We go over the entire next week of training, how to execute every single workout. We review the entire previous week. We look at every bit of data in TrainingPeaks. I'll do heart rate decoupling analyses to make sure that the pace and the heart rate are right.
Nice. Yeah, I
Um,
like it.
so like we get into
Yeah,
the
wow.
weeds for a
Wow.
lot of that, for the bigger goals. And
Well, I
then
think a lot of people like don't want to get in the weeds.
oh,
That's why they're paying you, but you can interpret it
yeah,
and get back to them with the nuggets of information.
yeah. It's more like just, hey, do you see this? Yeah, this little spike here. Let's
Right.
erase that spike next time.
Yeah.
No, it's been lovely. The other, it's funny. I wanted to mention when we were talking about new technologies coming out. I swear, I'm on every single waiting list right now for continuous lactate monitoring, any sort of
Oh, yeah.
device,
Yeah.
because I'll paddle right
Yeah.
now with the lactate
Definite.
plus meter,
Okay. Okay.
and I'll prick my own
Wow.
finger. And
You have it in a plastic bag and you pull out so it doesn't
oh
get
no, I
wet.
just don't fall in. I just set it in my lap in the canoe. And so I stop
Yeah. Okay.
paddling,
Canoe.
poke my finger, check my lactate, keep paddling.
Yeah. Nice.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's been just absolutely eye-opening, especially for me as someone who's gone back and forth between sprinting and wanting to be a more endurance
Right.
style athlete. Dude, like I said,
Right.
I do like a week or two of sprinting, lactate levels through the roof. My body's like, oh, we love making
Yeah.
lactate. That's what
Home
we're really
ground.
great at
Right.
doing. So it's
Right.
fascinating to see that difference in training. And I often wonder how many of my clients are more like, because it's neither all one or the other. We're all a blend of fast and slow twitch. Like we're all kind of
Yeah.
mesomorphs, but you can be apple shape where you're like fast twitch on the top, slow twitch on the bottom, or pear shape, which is inverse. Or like a nice perfect blend all over. But God, that would be eye opening one day to see lactate data for paddlers and also for people to understand like just because you think you're moving slow as molasses in January, if your lactate levels are at 4 or 5, it's not 2.5 and you're not getting the intended stimulus. Because I get
Yeah.
pushback all the time.
Right.
People are like, no, I'm just not moving fast enough at that heart rate. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you
I
have to
know.
go
Yeah.
that
Not
slow
enough
first.
people. Right. Not enough people are going slow for
Mm-hmm.
enough amount of time. So
Yeah.
you're taking lactate, you're relating that to heart rate, but as a more accurate measure, because we don't have power, you're then relating that to pace because you live on a lake and you
Yes.
don't have the surf and the wind. So then you can make your laps like spot on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I don't have lactate today, but I believe with my heart rate and my pace, my lap splits, that this is a zone 2
Mm-hmm.
or this is a threshold.
Yeah.
So then now relating that down to the athlete, you basically only have heart rate and maybe pace, but if they're in surf,
Yep.
you can't do that.
Nope.
So you're saying, hey, so it's very much like cycling, triathlon, running, where it's like, okay, we need to do, we're doing a block of zone 2 here, keep heart rate under
Mm-hmm.
X and do this long workout.
Yeah. And I'm usually erring on the
What
side
might a
of
long
safety.
workout look like?
One of my favorite go-tos are, I call them 15-minute repeats. It's 13 minutes on, 2 minutes off. At the top of that zone 2. So like what we're trying to do in paddling as well, if the conditions are cooperating with the athlete, I don't want people to go slow. That's the other thing. They're like, oh, when I'm at that heart rate, I'm going that slow. So they might have a lactate problem. They might have and anaerobic metabolism contribution problem, right? Where their anaerobic metabolism kicks in at like an ungodly low heart rate. Essentially aerobic
Mm-hmm.
deficiency as described by, is it Johnson, an uphill athlete, and Phil Maffetone too. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, there could be an aerobic deficiency problem, but a big thing that I see when I hear an athlete say that is also an efficiency problem. Um, like, because they're not,
Skill.
yeah, so their heart rate's up here, but their speed's down here. There's a lot of technique. And I even
The
worry,
good people go fast when they're going easy.
yes, like, and that's been, yeah, like,
Like in every sport.
it looks effortless. It is effortless. Um, and that's something that being on the lake sands conditions has really benefited me. But I'm hesitant. I'm excited about the power paddle. But one of the things I wanted to test is to see if I could paddle bad, like terrible technique and force a high power number. Because I think
Yes.
I can. I think I
That's
can.
like that. It's a bit like running power meters.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have bad form, high power, right? So you're going to have to like equate that to speed and skill.
Yeah.
There's going to be some interpretation going on there. So that'll be cool to see. I love that you're doing the lactate. So if we break down, what are the characteristics of a good paddleboard like sub competitor?
Oh, the athlete.
Yeah.
I think long arms really help.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Honestly, if I think in my head about the best paddlers I've ever met, they have short legs. So they're lower to the water
Yeah.
and long arms, like tall person
Mm.
arms, but short person legs. So they've got this
Yeah.
amazing. So if you just wanted to like batch them based on body type, the way, rowers like to put very similar people into a boat who are all similar build, similar height, similar weight, arm span, wingspan, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say by and large in single person crafts, it's the long arms and the shorter like stature. Um,
Yeah.
if and a nice blend of fast twitch and slow twitch. Um, Muscle
But
fibers
yet
as well.
you could err towards being a sprinter or a distance. So that's nice
You
to be able accommodating
can,
within the sport.
because and you can find your race, right? Like you could cherry
Yeah.
pick your races. So if you're a slow twitch athlete, the APP World Tour that was out, I call it the World Flatwater Tour because it's in these like rivers and canals in the biggest cities in the world, and there's no conditions. So it's just like a cycling race. You just jump on the draft train and hold on for dear life and hope, but then you have to have that final kick. So if you can conserve your energy for 6 miles and still have like a baller sprint in the last 200 meters, you could still win. So you could be a fast twitch athlete that races well in those events by racing smart. But then, say you show up at a race that you thought was going to be flat. If you've got wind and tide, but you're a slow twitch athlete, you're pretty screwed, honestly. Like the
Yeah.
second you've got a
Yeah.
headwind or like some swells, if you don't
Yeah.
have that power, because you have to match. So say there's
You have to
a,
overcome. Right.
oh yeah, you have to be strong. It's a power endurance sport, more
Right.
like cycling. Like if you were to
Right.
encounter a
Right.
hill, I guess in
Yeah.
cycling.
It's like an endurance athlete on the bike during the Tour de France has to have a whole
Yes.
lot of anaerobic capability.
I actually, after being at Training Peaks University, I would have to say that when building out the paddling activities for Training Peaks, I think it's going to be the most like cycling because we have strokes per minute or
Right.
cadence. Um,
Yeah.
Power is within reach, it's coming very quickly.
Yeah.
And so, like with those things combined, I feel like we're going to be very similar to cycling.
Yeah. On the endurance side of workouts, you mentioned like this 3 times
Oh yeah.
13, 2-minute recoveries in order to, incorporate, a little recovery to keep the skills up, to keep the speed up. Do you ever do like long zone one? Like I need you to do 2.5 hours of keep it zone one, for just basic endurance building.
Typically, as an athlete progresses, then we'll see a higher percentage of their work being done at zone 1. So as an
Okay.
athlete, when their technique and everything isn't so great just yet, um, I feel
It's hard to
like,
keep the heart rate low.
yeah, but low. But for them, like they don't even have the musculature yet, if you will,
Mm.
to
Yep.
the heart rate's like for them to not be holding still, they're already in zone 2. And I'll allow it for
Yeah.
a little while. Or
Yeah.
what I call it, the high score fallacy with my athletes, because in TrainingPeaks it'll give like a target, or I'll give a zone um, range. And I swear, new athletes, they always just want to hit the top. So if it gave them
Right.
130 to 145, they're always going to pin it at 145 and then possibly be at 147. And I was like, okay, that's the high score
That's every sport.
fallacy. So we are not looking
Yeah.
for a high score in heart rate. I actually want you to hit a low score. So
Yes.
I'm always in,
Yeah.
I say, when you read this workout, because you're going to get your daily TrainingPeaks workout digest email sent to your inbox. When it says target, I want you to erase that word in your head. I want you to call it the ceiling. So anytime you read the word target,
Yeah.
it is now ceiling. So if it says target heart rate 140, that is your ceiling. That is your maximum heart rate you are allowed to hit for that workout. Do not exceed it. Do not break through it.
Love it.
Everything you can do to stay below it. And I'm always encouraging my athletes, like, hey, it's a big zone. You got a lot of space to play around in there. Why don't you try training at the bottom of this zone?
Yeah. That's the value of coaching too, the whip, like, hey, I told you, keep it below whatever it is, 145 heart rate. And I see a whole lot
Yeah.
of 150 here.
Yes.
We're going to redo that workout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of do-overs, for sure, which is really nice because in TrainingPeaks, I just copy, paste, copy, paste. It's like that
Click
bad
and drag.
dream where you're trying to run down the hallway, but it just, the end of the hallway keeps getting further and further. I'm like,
Yeah.
the beatings will continue until morale improves. Just get this
Yeah.
workout right and it'll go away.
Okay. How about the opposite of endurance training? You have to overcome the surf, you have to overcome the swell, you have to overcome the headwind, the anaerobic stuff.
Mhm.
What does that type of workout look like that you prescribe for the high end?
Well, a lot of times, a bunch of different metabolic systems going into that. So in a downwind race, which is a very specific and special discipline within paddling. So I know I mentioned sprint racing, technical
Yep.
racing, and distance racing. Within distance racing, you can enter a race that is called a downwinder. And that's where the wind is at your back and you're essentially trying to catch these bumps and surf them.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you have to have a
Right.
huge power
Wow.
output for even like 3 strokes. It's like a 3-rep max because you have to,
Yeah.
for a split second, you have to match the energy in the wave that you're trying to catch. Because if you don't, it's just going to roll
Yep.
under you.
You miss it.
So you have to hit the same speed that this wave is traveling to snag it. So we're doing a lot of stuff in the gym to maximize neural recruitment of muscle fibers. So we're doing, 3x5s, 3x3s, heavy 1-rep max percentage based on your 1-rep max to enable an athlete to recruit those muscle fibers. But we're not doing a lot of reps and we're not doing a lot of sets. We just want that ability to be online, so to speak.
So sorry, you mentioned in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So what exercise would that be in the gym?
Just your basic, is it Olympic lifting, powerlifting? I always get the two confused.
Yeah.
So just deadlift, back squat, bench press, bent over row. So as paddlers, we're trying to balance our push and pull. So push, pull, push, pull, push, pull in each plane of motion to support the shoulder musculature, and also deadlift and back squat. So push and pull, back squat, you're pushing the weight, deadlift, you're pulling.
Yeah.
But balancing those two in such a way, because you're sitting in the canoe or you're standing, even worse, on the stand-up paddleboard, and you're leaning over and you're falling onto that blade and grabbing all that water. You have to have really strong core. And if you have an imbalance in that push and pull, it doesn't matter if the race is a sprint or if it's 1,000 miles, that imbalance of push and pull is what's going to tweak you. So a lot of times when endurance athletes say, oh, I tweaked my shoulder, oh, my back hurts, it wasn't acute traumatic. You didn't get hit by a bus out there on the paddle course. It was your
Yeah.
body that pulled itself out of alignment. So as paddlers, we absolutely have to balance that push and pull to prevent overuse injury. Um, so
Yeah. Is there dry land? I mean, I think about, the ski erg,
yeah.
obviously rowing, the row machine. Is there, do you incorporate those? And
Mhm.
then is there some other machine that I may be missing that simulates like a paddle?
The Concept 2 ski erg is one of my favorites for stand-up paddlers because
Okay.
it's a big lat pull. Um,
Yeah.
and then they make a outrigger and a stand-up attachment, I think, for the Concept 2 row.
Hmm.
Um, so I have a bunch of clients that have that. There's a travel size one called a whipper. And so, if you're traveling for dragon boating and you
Right.
get to where the event is and there's no way to get on the water before the race, it's like this travel size. It's not high
Like a bungee.
resistance. Yeah, it's like this cute little like
Yeah.
thing. There's a bunch
Is
of,
there a strong side versus weak side?
yes. A lot of people do have an imbalance left versus right. And for outrigger canoers in the one man, it is more pronounced because the AMA, the outrigger, is on your left side.
Mm.
And then for
Mm.
dragon boaters, because it's like 20 people on two sides of the boat, you're either a lefty or a righty. And so they train all year on one side. And you want to talk about
Wow.
like tweaked.
Over.
That
Yeah.
is,
Compensation.
that's why they need to
Yeah.
be on outrigger or stand up outside of the big team practices to help balance that left and that right out.
Got it.
Goodness.
How about, nutrition? What kind of tips are you giving for during the race, during the workout? I assume long workouts. When do you start to incorporate, nutrition into the training and racing?
Pretty
And
early
and what
on,
are your tips?
nutrition, you can't out train a bad diet. Um, that was, I'm dealing with a couple. I think the hardest thing that I have as a woman to convey to people a lot of times when it comes to training is how much food I eat. Like when I'm training
Yeah.
for a Molokai, it's over 3,200 calories a day if I'm doing 2 a days. And when I tell people that, and they're like, "Wait a minute," and a man, like I'll start coaching like a guy, and I'll say, "How many calories did you eat yesterday?" He's like, "Oh, I'm trying to lose weight. I ate about a 2,200." I was like, "Do you know how many I ate?" And so like when I best him by 1,000 calories, and I was like, "Dude, you're doing the same workouts. Like if you're training for a world championship event, doing 2 a days." Plus, you're working all day, running around chasing your kids and this other stuff. Like you're doing above and beyond. You're probably burning even more than I am. Just
Yeah.
conveying to people that they need to eat a large quantity of food, and not just the calories, but the micronutrients, like really calorically and
Dense.
micronutrient
Yeah.
dense foods. Like nutrient dense foods
Hmm.
are so important because is it Liebig's law of the minimum or whatever? You can have
Mm.
everything in excess, and you have one little thing that is
Right.
insufficient, and you're screwed. You
The
can't
weak
use any of
link.
it.
Yeah. How about like on the board itself? You're doing a long workout, you're training for the 6 mile race. What tips are you giving in terms of the nutrition and in training as well as the race itself?
You know, that's it. Like it's actually there's a lot there, um,
Yeah.
but there is a new app that syncs with TrainingPeaks. I have not used it, but a couple of clients have, and they love it. Called Fuel In.
Fuel in.
And
Yep.
yeah, I'm sure you know all about it, but it's really cool. And
Yep.
that's giving a lot of my athletes recommendations now. I have just full meal plans that you can adjust, but lots of like kind of a mix of fast and slow burning carbohydrates. So, say you were going to do the 6 mile race at the World Championships, I would tell you to wake up and eat the protein pancake recipe, which has got
Yeah.
protein, bananas for your fast burning carbohydrate, some oats for your slow burning. I put some nut butter on it, again, that slow burning, that fat fuel for those longer aerobic efforts. For on the board, it's really hard because you're using your hands and your hands are on a paddle all day. So liquid nutrition for anything 2 hours and under is going to be what I'm going to recommend. And
Uh-huh.
I actually like to blend, it's called like Vitargo and Tailwind. I'm not affiliated with them in any
Yeah.
way, but I use both of those and I blend them. And so that's what I'll have on course, plus electrolytes. If I'm doing a long distance race, ultra, 32 miles or beyond, I'm going to recommend, I'm going to do personally, and I'm also going to recommend my athletes to bring just real food, um, turkey and cheese sandwich, peanut butter and
Yeah.
banana,
Long.
just real food. Stop paddling and eat for a sec, like, or just like it'll be in your lap if you're on the canoe. Um, the chalk bags for rock climbers.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have people buy those chalk bags and hook them for stand up, hook them to your waist, and you can shove
Yeah.
food in them. And so
Yeah.
you paddle.
Do you have like a Camelback for
Yeah.
hydration?
Yes.
Okay.
But for
Got it.
the food is hard on stand up because if it's down on the
Yeah.
board, it's going to get like washed. I've had that happen. It's gotten like just washed away or filled with water. It's
Yeah.
gross then.
Yeah.
So the chalk bags for rock climbers to carry their chalk with them, you can fill with food like vegetables or, like energy balls or something like that. So you can take one hand off the paddle, shove it in your little pouch, like literally just as much as you can fit in your
Yeah.
mouth, and just keep paddling and like,
Some gummies.
yeah, just
Yeah.
chewing while you're going. Um, but
Nice.
yeah, I'm a huge proponent of just real food when you're doing the really long races. Um, and then breaking out your liquid, I guess, nutrition, your liquid strategy. I like to have plain water, electrolytes, and then a carb drink, three separate. So if you feel nothing, you drink water. If you feel low energy, get a little shot of those faster burning carbohydrates or medium burning carbohydrate. And then if you're feeling cramping at all, any sort of nervous system fatigue, you drink your electrolytes.
Yeah. Wow. I love how we're connecting, even though I have never done the sport. That's awesome. Hey, you also talk a lot about you're an athlete, you're an author, you're an activist. We've talked a lot about being the athlete. Tell us more about the other two.
Goodness. Well, author, it's they say with your fantasy self, it's currently just a
Yeah.
part of my fantasy self. I
You
haven't.
got to have that. You got to pursue something,
Yep.
right?
I have a book. It is mostly written, but you got to have courage and time and editors. It's called You Are an Athlete. But we're gonna get that. Right now, most of my writing can be found on my blog and also inside my online community, paddletraining.com. So it's just
Okay.
reserved for athletes
Cool.
and paddle sports right now, as well
Yeah.
as my athlete agenda planner. So that's not like a huge writing task. Um, I have a big dream. You shouldn't talk about your dreams. Um, but I would love to eventually come out with something similar to training for the uphill athlete, but for ocean
Mm,
athletes as
yeah.
well. So who
Absolutely.
knows? Maybe
Absolutely.
if somebody beats me
I
to it,
mean,
that's fine. I'm busy
I've
with this kid.
seen history repeats itself. Uh, my father, Joe Friel, thought his first book would sell like 3,000 copies, and it sold out immediately.
Wow.
And then they asked him to write for triathletes and mountain bikers, and 15 more books after that. And then you mentioned Uphill Athlete. You know, those guys, have created a following in mountaineering,
Yeah.
and alpinism. Certainly you can, there's an opportunity within paddle sports.
Oh,
So
definitely.
it's going to happen. It's going to
It
happen.
will. I'm
Yeah.
ready. And activist, I would call it's an environmental,
Yeah,
and also the
absolutely.
passion economy, if you will. So abandoning kind of the mainstream job and career path, and for me to go
Mm,
from what I was doing to, oh hey, I'm going to be a paddler, is
yeah.
kind of a weird anti just
Pioneer.
mainstream form. And then in my
Yeah.
spare time when I'm not writing my unfinished book and paddling. I am building a food forest on a little
Oh,
8-acre plot of land. So I have a
cool.
tractor and a chainsaw, and
Nice.
which is funny. I should have mentioned this. In Training Peaks now, I do track when I'm out in the forest, like, hoeing and just
Yeah.
lifting giant
Cross
logs,
training.
moving things. I am now keeping track of that, and I wear my heart rate monitor because I think I wasn't accounting for the training load of me doing
Yeah.
that some days, and it was contributing to a little bit of overtraining. But once I started
Recovery.
tracking me literally being like a lumberjack in the forest, things got a lot better for me,
Nice.
competition wise.
Yeah. Dang, super cool. I love it all. There's a whole big, bright future ahead of you. I love the enthusiasm and bringing it to a new sport for Training Peaks new sport.
Yeah.
And sport's been around
Oh
for
goodness.
thousands of years, obviously.
Yeah.
Canoeing,
Some
etc.
of the first women to do the big Hawaiian crossings were using these giant wooden paddles with no T handles. I have one on my wall that you can't
Oh yeah.
see here. It weighs like 20 pounds and it's just insane. And for me to think, like, I've
Yeah.
met these women and they're amazing. Like, wow, you guys are like just awesome on a level that I can't even touch.
That's inspiring.
So.
That's great. And you mentioned your blog. So how can people find you?
Just aprilzilg.com is the easiest
All
way.
right.
From there, there's links to my coaching services through Training Peaks, my online community, which is paddletraining.com. Little sneak peeks here and there, pre-releases on chapters from the upcoming book, and
Yeah.
yeah, little stuff like
That's
that.
how to do it.
Yeah, man.
That's how to do it. Thank you so much. Really cool conversation, and good luck with everything you're working on.
Yeah, well, thank you. Sorry if anything was scattered. It is 101 degrees here today in North Carolina, and my air conditioning in my office went out. So if I look good, hot, and sweaty, and I seem like my brain is cooked, it's because it actually is.
Yeah. That's the beauty of doing what we do. It's okay to be sweaty.
Yeah. No, my goodness.
With that, thank you so much, April.
No, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Training Peaks Coachcast. Visit trainingpeaks.com for more training and coaching resources.